Gentlemen, Restream just told me that this is supposed to be up and running, so let's just see if it is. I see a lot of chat going on over there. Yep. All right, we're up and running. Wow, man. Thanks, Jed. Yep, it doesn't. Man, oh man, oh man. Yes, it lives, Roy. Sorry about all that. And here I thought it was my fault. I saw Mozman's comment. It's a shame they don't notify you beforehand when they know that it's going on. Yeah, it's real, Moz. It's real. Man, it's something else. So we got some guests that'll be back in here in a minute, I'm sure. Hey, again, I guess I'm apologizing for Restream and not myself. This is the first time. It wasn't my fault, and I'm kind of happy about that, but still embarrassed that it happened. But anyway, we're off and running. I know that there may be some that have to go earlier since we kind of bumped our time up by almost 2 hours. But anyway, I got a fresh cup of coffee. I've got water here, and we're ready to rock and roll, as Vahagan would say. So he'll be in here in a minute. So let me explain the title. I was a little I didn't know if this was going to be seen as clickbait or whatever, and I don't want to do that. It's the title of this is obviously, will Nikon release a mirrorless D500 in response to Canon's R7 and R10? And I bring that up as a point of discussion in here with you guys because there's a lot of discussion about APS-C cameras and Nikon, and I'll give you my feelings about it. There are two cameras that have been registered by Nikon. Nobody knows what they are. So we could see something here in the real near future as to whether, or what they are. Could they be could they both be APS-C cameras, or could one be an APS-C camera and the other full frame? I don't know. Hey, Ted, good to see you in here. Roy, thanks, man. It does add a little uniqueness to the channel. Of course, it's typically on par for what goes on here, but usually it's my fault. Then I go crazy. All right, Frames, go ahead. If you want, I'll send you the link and you can just come in here and talk to everybody. It's entirely up to you. Oh man, I'm just waiting for a reply for Frames if he wants to get on here and actually speak his piece rather than just type it. But okay, so with the wait for 14 days, nothing more from me at this point. Okay, 14 days. That's interesting. Thanks for that. Thanks for leaving us in the dark, Frames. I'm just kidding, man. But if 14 days is significant, then it's going to be interesting. And now we'll all be waiting for the next 2 weeks to see. Israel Macario says that Grays says that Nikon and Canon talk to each other. I believe that. I absolutely believe that. I don't think there's any animosity at all between the two brands. I mean, as far as the corporate goes, I think they do talk to each other. Long Rider, good to see you in here. Jaspreet, good to see you in here. You just watched Jay Christian's stream when your stream got blue. Okay. So there's a lot of talk right now because Canon dropped these two cameras. So let me say my piece real quick, and then I'm going to let you guys go. Meaning let you take off in the chat and talk about it. I have concern with Nikon going down the APS-C route. I know this is going to meet with some controversy. I know there are people that would like an APS-C, but a professional body APS-C camera, not just an entry-level APS-C for the folks that just want to get into Nikon, which I don't agree with. If people really want to get into photography and videography, then I think that you really should look at full frame from the start, because your investment will grow from there rather than having to sell and switch later. Let me bring Jeffrey in while I'm chatting here. Jeffrey, hang on a second, if you would. All right. So my concern is that if Nikon goes down this route and produces APS-C cameras, one of the things we're going to have to deal with is production rate isn't fantastic right now. How much is it going to take away from any other full frame bodies that may be out there that they want to drop or deliver? And what will it do to the lens roadmap? We don't know all the future lenses, but we're going to be at 50, as Nikon states, by 2025, a total of 50 lenses. Now, they didn't say 50 full frame or 50 with APS-C. They just said 50 lenses. So if they launch a major APS-C mirrorless camera, something on the down the lines of the D500, the first thing everybody's going to start screaming about is the lens lineup for APS-C. How much is that going to take away from the full frame lenses that are projected and may come? It's just something to consider, and that's a concern for me. There's a lot of truth in phones have taken over the entry level market, because a lot of the entry level market wasn't entry level. It was just, and I say this without any, without hopefully not offending soccer moms or soccer dads. But I mean, think about it. A lot of the entry level cameras that Nikon produced and Canon and everybody else went to those type shooters. Well, now it's not a concern for them. They have their iPhone or their Samsung or whatever that take pretty daggone good photos. So I know that they're not what we would consider great photos. However, that I think that they have taken over that entry level market. So again, if Nikon goes down this route, how much is it going to take away from everything else that we're waiting for? Is the production going to eat into production of? It shouldn't be for the Z9 because it's already in full production, but any other cameras that come out. So, what are your guys' thoughts? And I'll let you chime in with what you think, Jeffrey, before we start looking at all the chat here.
Did they fix the video problem for you? I gave them your email.
Yeah, I was talking to them too, and they did. It was a global outage on Restream.
Okay, so everything's good right now then.
Yeah, so me going through and unplugging, plugging in cables and checking every button and rebooting over and over. And now I've got 3 live streams that are a few minutes long that I've got to go back and fix. But anyway, yeah, everything's up and running with Restream right now. The guy was very nice about it. He said they were receiving a lot of hate mail.
Okay, well, I didn't say anything bad about him. I just told him you needed some help.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know where.
James, I sent you a link, by the way.
Getting in late here with you now. I guess my only comment is whether you're. I think we realize now that the 4-year cycle probably isn't really 4 years anymore. It's more like 2. But depending on if Nikon theoretically has 2 camera bodies in the works, if one of them isn't already APS-C, which we really don't know because they don't really share information very well, then if one of them is not an APS-C body, then they're kind of blank out of luck, if you know what I mean, if they want to compete with Canon at this point, because it'd be 18 months at a minimum before they'd be able to respond if they don't already have something in the works.
Right.
And they're, as you said, I looked at their DX lens lineup right now, which is rather anemic. They're predominantly zooms, a 16 to 50, a 18 to 140, and a 50 to 250. And then on the roadmap, the only prime they have is on the roadmap is a 24 millimeter, and they don't say what the f-stop's going to be on that, and a another 12 to 28 zoom. So they don't really have a good lens lineup, and they haven't for a long time. And I mean, I looked at the R7 and the R10 specs, and the R7 specs are actually pretty good because even with the video, it's better than a Z7 too, because it's 4K 60 at 10-bit versus 8-bit You have to
Right.
put the Atmos on the Z7 II to be able to do 10-bit recordings. So it does actually have a few specs that are actually better than some higher price Nikon. So I think what Canon has done is pretty impressive for the price point. Whether or not, like I said, if Nikon hadn't already planned to release an APS-C body, uh, they're kind of out of luck. And in a way, their whole marketing scheme, they claimed, was to focus on the mid-tier to the higher end body cameras anyway. So
Right.
if
Right.
they may be abandoning this market and basically just letting Sony and Canon fight it out. If I was Sony, I'd be a little worried about this R7 and R10 because the prices are really, really good.
Yeah, and the reviews are in, and take those with a grain of salt. A lot of people talking about the R7, and not the R10 as much, because the
Right.
R7 is what everybody wants. It has a lot of the video features that they're looking for, just as you said. And now, if Nikon were to release a APS-C camera, I would agree that a D500, excuse me, D500 like body would be fantastic, but I'm concerned about doing it right now. However, they may have done their homework, or you would expect them to determine what it's going to do to their production and how much it's going to sell. So I know that a lot of people have been talking about APS-C, but the majority of the people that are talking about it, just like Jeff says here, if they bring forth the DX body, it really needs to be a Pro DX level body, not a Costco type body. That I absolutely agree
Yeah.
with. But that doesn't mean I'm right, because a lot of people bring up good points about, well, it's a cheap, easy way to get into the brand. I, I understand that. I just don't know that it will benefit Nikon right now to have a very low budget APS-C camera like a D3300 series or something like that. But you guys can disagree, and you've got great comments. I'm seeing them roll by. I knew this was going to be a pretty lively topic, and some people had already mentioned that, but I just think that it might not be the best time. Let's get Mr. V in here. He just popped in. Mr. Vahagan, the rock and roll photographer.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. Well, we sorted out all the drama. Thanks for all the help from you guys, suggestions, and everything else. As it turns out that it was Restream, and they're catching a lot of flack about it right now, too, according to the guy I was speaking with. So, but we're up and running, and all things are good right now.
Good. I'm glad.
So, what do you think, Vahagan? Is it the right time for Nikon to go down the APS-C route, or should they wait? Should they fulfill some of the full frame discussions that have been going on? As Jeff pointed out, the video specs in the R7 actually look better than the Z7 II or Z6 II for a couple of reasons. It's not, a giant trade off between the two cameras and video, but video is the thing. And as I keep preaching, that's what's selling cameras now. There's so few people that will only shoot stills anymore that oh shoot, lost my train of thought there. That video is a must now. So what do you think, Bahagan?
As far as APS-C goes, we got to look at what we have right now. We have the Z50 and we have the ZFC. All right. Now, to come up with a replacement for the D500Z, we have to ask ourselves, how much will that camera be priced at? Right.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? What's the price point? And what's the point in even bringing that camera to fruition? Do we really want that?
Well, this is going to be controversial. Everybody's going to have their own opinion. I agree with you. And we're seeing it already over here in the comments. Not disregarding you guys. I'm trying to pop them up here as I see them.
Where do you price the D500Z?
Well, if we look at history, it was cheaper than some of the not well, yeah, it was cheaper than all the full frame bodies.
Okay. So if you have a ZFC that's $900 or 980 or whatever it is, you have a ZFC Z50 that's how much is that camera? I don't even know.
I'm not sure either, but there's a comment by Matthew talking about the 3000, 5000 series were the most sold cameras in Nikon, just like the Canon Rebels were. I think the key word there is were, Matthew. I'm not sure that you can equate the sales figures back then to what they could be now or would be now, because again, I go back to how many people are promoting phones as the do-it-all now. Those are the people you're aiming at anyway. And are
Yeah.
you going to get them? You're going to convince them to drop their iPhone and pick up a reasonably priced APS-C camera? I don't know, but it's just a question. How many people are going to do that rather than carry their iPhone around? Now, iPhone and everybody's talking about having cinematic quality video. And, I'll agree with you. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but they believe it, and that's what matters. So,
No. Long Rider says $2,500 he'd pay for a good crop sensor, stack sensor camera.
yeah,
That's up there in price.
Well,
yes,
here's the thing. Like the Z50 is priced at $859.95. The ZFC is $959.95.
Mhm.
So even if you said price it at $1,500 for a D500 equivalent, and I'm just throwing that number out, just to throw a number out, your full frame entry level Z5 is $1,299.95. So are you going to price how much higher, if it makes sense to even go higher? How much higher are you going to price a D500 equivalent APS-C sensor camera versus your entry level full frame camera?
Yes, and this is an issue because we have to really think about, first of all, again, where we price it at. Second, Jeffrey brings up a good point where he said we don't have lenses. Canon does not have lenses either for the crop sensor mirrorless market. They came out with two kit lenses, right? The Canon.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So is this new crop sensor DX camera more geared towards using it with FXS lenses?
Well, see, that's the reason I chose the D500 as the point of response to Canon. Yes, I know it does. The D500 is a whole lot more camera than the R7. I get that. I absolutely get that. But it does bring some new technology, which you can't do with the D500. But if you're a birder, I hate to go back down this path.
Tweet, tweet, tweet.
But if you're a birder that just like Long Rider saying here, he'd pay 2,500 for a good crop stacked sensor camera. So now you're talking about more cost because the R7 is not a stacked sensor camera. But again, I'm talking about should Nikon even go down the path of APS-C, and if they do, should they go down the path of low cost APS-C, or should it be online with the D500? Because the D500 is a pro body by all, uh, definition. And it became a birding sensation in using full frame glass. Why? It's obvious for the reach. So, and that comes up here in a minute. Um,
Can
Jet
you
Photo says he can't see buying a $14 camera and then $2,500 lenses. And so it depends on what the camera has in it. So I agree with you, Jet. What do you guys think?
well, Jet Photo, Fuji has tons of great lenses. Fuji is the king of APS-C.
Yeah.
Not necessarily wildlife, because I don't think they're famous for their wildlife
No.
speed, right? It's more of like a retro kind of thing. But look at where Fuji's pricing their brand new Fuji's at right now. We're looking at prices up there, $2,000. How much is that new the camera that's scheduled to come out that everyone's talking about right now with Fuji? 1800 or 2000, something like that.
I'm not sure.
So I honestly think it's it's tough because you need to appease the birding community with a professional crop sensor, and the other option is to keep it consumer level. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the full frame, lower end full frame cameras, $12.99 for the Z5 and $15.99 for the original Z6. But I mean, if you came out with a D500 equivalent and you made it, similar to the Canon with a 35 megapixel sensor, maybe you one up them and you make it a BSI, at least a BSI sensor, not necessarily stacked, and you have a higher frame rate to appease the wildlife photographers. I mean, anybody else doesn't need even 12 frames a second anyway, but if you made it 15 frames a second minimum, that would appease the wildlife people, and maybe you could price it in the just under two
So,
grand and have a market. But it's hard because of the price points of
so,
the overlap here.
so while I agree with, pricing needs to be discussed, let's talk about which camera that Nikon, if they want to go down this route. We already have APS-C in the Nikon mirrorless lineup. So that's again why I chose the D500, because they could just upgrade those cameras if that's what we're talking about. But if they're going to produce a new APS-C body, would it be on the line along the lines of those cameras that we already have, or would it be moving into the Pro Body APS-C? And we'll talk about the pricing, because obviously you're absolutely right, Vahagan. That's a whole different subject to talk, because where's the price point compared to what's already available, and not
yeah.
just with Nikon, but with everybody else. And man, a lot of comments coming in, guys. Thanks. It's
I,
great
I mean,
here.
I think you go the pro route with a D500 equivalent, and hey, you give up, you price it a little higher because you already said you don't want to make your money on cheap cameras. So okay, give that up to Canon, let them have the cheap camera market for the APS-C, and you still have a couple reasonably priced. Like I said, you got the Z50 and the ZFC that are reasonably priced cameras, and do a D500 if you're going to do it. But the problem is they have no lenses, and like you
Well,
said before, Chuck, you don't want the
yeah.
manufacturing capabilities to cut into the full frame market where they're making more money either.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's another topic. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a subtopic within this topic is the lens lineup. I just threw it out there early to get the conversation
Yeah.
started, but I believe that price and lens lineup are something else. If we can decide on what we think Nikon should do, and I'm listening to all of the comments over here, and you guys are bringing up some
No,
great comments here.
I,
But I want to say hello to Michael Ritter from Germany. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully you'll like us and become part of our community. So, guys, drop a like, and for those that are enjoying it and think you'd like to be part of this more often, definitely consider subscribing. All right,
I
so I
have a
got
question for you
yes, sir.
guys. My question is, because I'm not an APS-C kind of guy. I've been full frame. I'm a full frame kind of guy, but other than my Fujis, but that's a whole different reason why I shoot Fuji. But the question is, Z7 2 or 3, the new Z7 3, if it's gonna come out, or the new Z6, let's say Z7 3 or Z8. You shoot that thing in DX crop mode, right? And other than megapixels and not using the full sensor, what are the differences from using a true DX camera? Do you see any other upsides? Why would anybody do that? They just put the full frame camera to DX.
Lower noise.
Okay.
Lower noise would be one.
Hmm.
Um, smaller body, lighter weight. If they do DX lenses, they're smaller and they're lighter weight.
No, they're not. They're not. I don't think they're doing D. I'm talking about the camera itself.
The camera would be lighter and smaller.
Really? So that whole defeats the whole purpose.
Well,
If it's lighter.
it may or may not be. I don't know, Jeff. It could be smaller and lighter, but then now how's it going to be that pro body with the extreme build and everything else? I don't know. You may be right. But Jeff's talking about it here. The Z5 was the baby D5, or I said the Z5. The D500 was the baby D5. In a lot of respects, it was. Obviously, they were announced together, so that was a planned event with Nikon to do that, which is something I thought during the announcement for the Z9 that they may announce a APS-C Pro body along with it. That was a possibility, but it didn't happen. So
I guess my question is, how much better is it shooting a real DX camera versus if you just crop the Z7 III?
you got to be a DX shooter to answer that question.
And I'm not.
Well,
So that's why.
I've shot DX, and if I by accident I used my Z9 in DX mode the other day, and I forgot to switch it back. So I took a whole bunch of pictures in DX mode, and if I remember right, if I wanted to do a 300 dot per inch print, my file size was where I could do a 12 by 18. Full frame, DX mode, 12 by 18, 300 dot per inch print. And I think the megapixel count in DX mode on a Z9 is just slightly under, let's say a 24 megapixel crop camera, not by much, maybe 1 megapixel smaller or something like that. So it's pretty darn close. So I don't think that's really a huge deal. I think it really comes down to they can save money on lenses. They can, but to me, it's not very forgiving in terms of composition, because if your composition isn't dead on and you have to crop your image, then you could end up with a 15 megapixel file or a 12 megapixel file, because when you're trying to capture something in movement, you can't always get the perfect composition. It's not like if you're doing portraits or landscapes, you can get perfect composition. You start doing something that's sports cars and motocross and birding, you're not always going to nail the composition. You need to crop a little, and that's where you're going to get hurt with a DX APS-C camera. My opinion.
Well, just depending on the size of the sensor. You're right. We don't know what it would be or whatever. Obviously, we know what the R7 is. So let's get into the chat here more, guys, and let's start addressing some of these comments that are coming up. Let's see. We have the DX camera has to be at least 30 megapixel. I think that it does nowadays, because guess what? You're going to have to put 4K in it as far as video goes. I know there are a lot of people in here who don't want to hear about the video, but I'm sorry, that's just the way it is now, and you're going to have to do it. We get beat up enough by the influencers right now, don't we, Vahagan? So we don't want to give them any food here. So, if you omit any kind of video capability, then that's exactly what they're going to hone in on and start chewing away at Nikon. But, man, we've passed up so many good comments. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up with you and at least posting them up here.
Just real quick.
Yes, sir.
What's the megapixel count on the R7 and R10?
I think it's 33, isn't it? Or something like that. 30.
The R7 is 32.5.
There you go.
R10 is 24.2.
And the R10, by the way, is really kind of, they want to compare it to the M50, right? It's just
it's really scaled down. It just has a single SD UHS-2 card slot.
Yeah.
It'll do 4K 30 with no cropping, but if you want 4K 60, it's going to crop it a little bit.
So the R7 is a pro crop sensor?
Well, I wouldn't say
they both use the Digic X processor, which is good, but their sensors are conventional design. They're not BSI or stacked.
Yeah, I got to give him props for that.
Yeah.
The sense as a sensor, I mean the processor. You know, trickle down the technology to a less expensive consumer body. Yeah,
Right. This is where they're getting their frames per second, which isn't bad actually on the R7. So, I mean, those are things that people are going to look at when it comes to the R7. And I don't think it's a bad camera at all. Who
Oh,
knows? Maybe this is where Canon really begins to pick up momentum.
I mean, they
uh,
scale down on the autofocus system. They just say it's phase detect. They don't say it's a hybrid. They specifically say it's 651 autofocus points phase detect, and then the viewfinder's a 2.3 million dot OLED, and the rear isn't that great. It's 1.6 million dot rear screen. So I mean, they cut corners in certain places to keep the price down, obviously, but
Yep.
it's still the R7 will still do 1/8,000th of a second, whereas the cheaper one will only do 1/4,000th of a second. So
And
that's where they
rightly
that
so for a
you know
just a carry around.
yeah
Again, that's going back to the soccer mom. No offense to soccer moms again, but going back to somebody who just wants to take snapshots.
yeah.
It'll do snapshots very well.
I think it'll do really good with being an R mount as long as they have some lenses to support it, and that's going to be their problem too.
Okay, so here's another consideration for those cameras, especially the R10. It could be a YouTube vlogger's best friend if
yeah,
that's all you're looking for. You know,
Yeah,
if it's priced right, it definitely has the capability to do everything you want to do for vlogging. So is that a
yeah,
consideration for Nikon as well?
yeah. Hey Matthew, yeah, I've shot D200, D300. Only reason why I shot those is because full frame wasn't out yet, and I actually had the D2X, D2XS, D2H too. So
Yeah. So here's Jet Photo saying they should rebrand the Z5 as the D500 type camera. Well, that would take a complete upgrade to that camera.
yeah,
yeah,
I've shot DX. But
To
now I'm talking about today's technology DX,
Yeah,
not 10 years, 15 years ago.
yeah,
no,
But
you're absolutely right. But the D500 had that robust feel, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what they do with the body. Whether it's the same smaller body like a Z6, Z7, or whatever, and maybe they can. I don't know, but the D500 feels like a pro camera when you pick it up.
yeah.
Yeah,
You want magnesium body and you want weather sealing and everything else, and
Yeah.
have it where, I mean, my buddy shoots a D500 with a 2 to 5 in wildlife, and he loves it, and he gets phenomenal pictures with it. So I mean, I can't knock it for what it does. I mean, a D500 is a great little camera. It really is.
And hey, guys, you guys are in here with all your comments. I'm going to tell you right now. I can't verify it, but I'm going to tell you right now that Nikon is listening. Nikon's listening in on a lot of these live streams and watching videos that are going on. So, you have your comments. I guarantee you, at some point, are making it back to Nikon. And
man.
I appreciate all the comments that you're dropping here. Just know that you may be part of making a difference in what Nikon does. It sounds crazy, but believe it or not, I think it's true.
Yeah, yeah, it sure does, sure does. Hey Tay, what's going on? Uh yeah, the when the D3 came out, I sold all my DX cameras because it made sense to me, you know. But here's my question. Why would somebody go and buy a brand new DX body if they can buy a full frame body? You know, I'm talking about the first time regular shooters out there. Or
That's
not.
something you have to convince people is that, and how many times have you had a conversation with somebody talking about, if you're going to buy into a brand, start at full frame and then build your repertoire of lenses and other stuff so that you're not having to go back and sell things later when you decide to switch from APS-C. A lot of people countered that comment I made with, um, a- m- well, some said most people are going to buy full frame lenses. I don't know if that's true or not, uh, because we see too many people in the comment section on videos and things talking about where are the DX lenses, where are the APS-C lenses. So you have a whole following. You're either all in APS-C or, like you said, and I'll say it this way, make a mistake and buy into APS-C only to to change not too far down the road to full frame for whatever reason. But for the D500, I agree. I bought it not to buy APS-C lenses. I bought it to use with full frame lenses, which I already had, and it worked extremely well. But that's a different body than we're talking about here with an R7 or such.
Yeah. Yeah, Long Rider corrects me, and he's right. He says the Z9 is under 20 megapixels in DX mode. I think it's 19.1 or something like that, but the ZFC is 20.9. So, like I said, it's within a megapixel of the current APS-C cameras from Nikon.
Great comments. Great comments. Let's drive the train for Nikon. You guys keep going. And I'm not saying Nikon's coming out with an APS-C camera immediately.
No, we don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. But it does kind of scare me when Canon does something like this, because as somebody said, Canon and Nikon talk, and I guarantee you they do. So if Canon's dropping it, is Nikon, did they have something in the works? Are they about to drop something? Could the two cameras that were reported as being registered, not in production or whatever, but registered, could they be APS-C cameras? And if that's the case, then nothing we say here can change much because the design is already done.
Just imagine if one of them was a Z8 and one of them was a D500 replacement. That a lot of people would be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of great comments, man.
But Nikon doesn't talk. That's the problem. I mean, at least Canon throws stuff out there, and you don't know when you're going to see it necessarily, but at least they throw some ideas out there of what's coming down the road.
Yep. Chet, I agree with you here. That was my concern, but I'm being selfish. Understand, I will acknowledge it. I am being selfish. Okay. I'm concerned about what it does to the full frame production, lenses and bodies. Okay. But again, I'm being selfish.
Yeah, it's just something that it's something to think about, really. Something to think about. But for me, I'm a full frame kind of guy when it comes to photography. That, for one, I'm working with clients. Street photography, sure, I could take my Fuji all day and do street shots, and even a Nikon Z50 or ZFC. Street photography, great. I don't see anything wrong with using APS-C. But again, the lenses, what do you use? A full frame lens on a DX body?
I use the 14 to 24 quite often on my D500 if I was shooting events or something, just to carry the D500 and actually get it out and use it. And it worked extremely well. But somebody talked about wide angle lenses have to be DX produced or DX lenses, because it's hard to get that wide angle on the crop sensor camera without lenses that are designed specifically for that.
Yeah, John Goolsby just emailed me saying he sent me a really cool article about full frame versus APS-C. I'll post it in the chat. If you guys want to check it out later. Yeah. Hold on, let me.
I mean, basically, if you throw a full frame 24 millimeter lens on an APS-C sensor, the reason you get the crop factor is the angle of view on the F mount is going to overshoot the sensor size. That's why you get that crop factor. Yeah. So if you want 24 millimeters to be really 24 millimeters, you have to have that DX designed lens so that the 24 millimeters falls on the full size of the APS-C sensor.
So you're talking about a 16 millimeter lens then to, that's going to be equivalent to 24 millimeter.
Yeah, I read that comment from Jasper. I'm like, I didn't read his name. I'm like, I saw S35. I'm like, oh, that's got to be Jasper.
So this is a concern too, talking about size and carry. Hassan's talking about it here. Everybody has their own druthers of what they want. And I know that a lot of people are talking about with mirrorless, the size compared to DSLR, size and weight. So I'm one that I'm not worried about that. I'm not a guy that's carrying a camera everywhere I go. But if you are, I understand wanting that small form factor and pancake lenses and the such. I get that.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And I used the ZFC. I used the Z50. Cool cameras. I mean, yeah, they're small, light. They're not made as good as like the Z6 line and the Z7 line. The buttons, they feel good, but they're not as good quality as the more expensive bodies. Even the grip, the grip is not as like it doesn't feel as complete to me when I'm holding it.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah, a lot of people bought that grip for the ZFC that somebody else sells to put on it because it doesn't really have a grip, right?
right. But then again, there are a lot of people. See, that's again, you said it a few times, Vahagan. There is no perfect camera, and that's the problem. And if Nikon or Canon or Sony or Fuji or anybody produced a camera that would suit everybody, they'd have 95 cameras in their lineup that you could choose from. And then people would be complaining about, well, I want what's in this one, and this one. It's not a build-a-bear situation. You just can't walk in and say, yeah, let's put some of this in it. Let's put some of that in it. Oh, I wanted this size. It's difficult. It really is. And it gets emotional at times when people start arguing about, no, Nikon, don't do this, or no, Canon, or yes, you need to, drop the cripple hammer here. But that's what photography is all about, the emotion, right? The drama.
So
Not,
so when is that 600 coming out? Do you guys know or?
I don't know. I didn't watch the Gray's stream this morning, and I guess we're talking about that also. But they said something about rumors abound right now. I don't know if it was in reference to the R5, I'm sorry, the R7, R10, and what Nikon may do, or the 600 millimeter that's still elusive.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be, 5-figure lens easy.
I actually want to see a 400. We're gonna get a 400 PF, right? If I'm correct. Is that something
Well,
that
we
That's what
expect
we're
it to be a
thinking.
PF, yeah.
Yeah.
that's
But
something that I might get? You know.
I think it's something a lot of people will get. The PF lenses are, I don't want to say it wrong here, but it's not the poor man's lenses, but it's definitely, the price on those are so much better than going to the full on 2.8 400, and in this case with TC, or f4 600. So who knows? It may be an f4 400 PF. I don't know.
Yeah, and the price is gonna be very reasonable. I think. You know.
Oh yeah, compared to what the alternative, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that Nikon is doing right. They found the secret sauce in that 300 PF and realized we got to capitalize on this. And then the 500 came out, and man, that thing, you couldn't get it for a year.
Yeah, definitely a hit. That 500 PF. You know.
It was interesting. I don't know if you noticed this, Chuck or Vahagan. I was using the 1:4 the other day with my 1.4 TC, and I had, a darker subject, but everything else in the frame was pretty bright. And I did have vignetting using that in the corners when it went at 400 anyway, with that TC on it.
Hey, here's two comments. Let me go back to this one, and then I want to place Roy's up here. So this is the common discussion and sometimes argument over DX versus full frame. So Matthew's talking about what you get from these lenses on a DX body, and he's right. And then Roy says, Matthew Card, full frame cameras can switch to crop view, and he's right. So I again, I go back to, for whatever reason, it's just like choosing a brand. If you like APS-C for what, I have no idea why people would prefer it over full frame, but they do. And should Nikon uh, basically cater to those that just want a APS-C camera for whatever reason? I don't know, but this is where we get into what do you want? What do you like? Is it available? If it's not available, then you're going to jump on, these live streams and things and start harping on, I want this. I get that. I don't know how to answer. We're not going to educate people to say, or to go out and buy full frame and just use the crop mode on the full frame camera. And let's talk about that for just a second. How many megapixel do you need for an appropriate crop on full frame to reach the DX whatever? I know we're into higher megapixel cameras now, but you go to crop mode on a D700, if it existed. I don't remember whether it did or not, and I had a D700. You're down to almost nothing. You're definitely not doing any cropping in post. That's for sure. And it was minimal at 12 megapixel. And now all the guys that shot the D700 and film cameras and everything else are going to come out and say, but how big does it need to be? You can put it on a billboard. Different situation. Yes, you can. You're not seeing it at 2 feet, 3 feet away. You're seeing it from half a mile away at times. So I don't know what the answer is, but can Nikon give everybody what they want? No. So, but right now, should Nikon go down this path is really the big question.
Well, for under $1,000, yeah, I see myself, if I was a consumer buying that camera, a Pro Body 15 Z500 under $2,000. I see myself getting that camera. But anything over 2,000, 1,800 maybe, no.
Yeah. So we're not going to agree on the size of the body, what it should have in it, and everything else. So let's just say, but price is equivalent to what you put in the body. So let's say Nikon builds an APS-C camera. It's coming out. It's not like the D500 equivalent, but it's typical Nikon weather sealing and stuff like that with, some of the video capabilities that we see in maybe the R7, or maybe even a little more robust. Then where is that camera body going to be priced?
Yeah, you're right. Matthew, to answer your question, I definitely would take a 7200 full frame. I wouldn't take a DX, but I would also take maybe a 300 or 400 to one of those shows. Maybe a 100 or 400 would be a perfect concert lens. 100 to 400. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think the DX, whether you crop because you're using a DX camera, or you're cropping a 45 megapixel full frame camera with your software after the fact, or switching to DX mode instead. Everybody's right. It's what you like. The bottom line is just traditionally the APS-C cameras are cheaper. They're smaller. They're a little lighter, and the sensors have typically been, because they're smaller, have less noise. So you have to weigh all that out. Me, I'd rather have the 45.7 megapixel full frame camera. If I'm cropping on a small bird, it'll still probably be a 30 megapixel file. So it'll be more than what it would be if I was shooting with an APS-C camera.
And you're right, Matthew. I think this is where the gaps are. And the question is, does Nikon go for the APS-C side of that? You know, the D500-ish APS-C camera.
Yeah. By the way, Jasper, I was being a little generous when I said 2K. More in lines of 1500 would be ideal.
Man, I'm way behind as usual. Sorry, guys. Trying to catch everybody's comments. Can't catch them all. Talking about the 10.5 DX fisheye. Yep.
That 10.5, yeah.
So this is where we get into the next part of the debate is the lens lineup. You know, if you build an APS-C Pro body, then I think it's gonna cost more, and I think that it's gonna line up well with those that want the crop factor with long glass. I mean, honestly, that's the only reason I bought the D500 was the speed, crop factor, because I couldn't afford big super telephoto lenses, so it gave me just that much more reach. I know I could always crop in, but my D5 wasn't the it wasn't a megapixel monster, as you all know. Neither was the D4. Obviously, it's 16 megapixel.
Yeah,
So,
but the files coming out of those cameras were beautiful.
but that's flagship. And I've said all along, there's some secret sauce always in a flagship body. The color science is different than every other body they
Exactly.
produce.
Even Canon 1DX
Yeah.
versus like a 5D or 5D Mark III, whatever it was. The 1DX files were solid versus, the 5Ds.
Yeah.
Same thing with the D4, D3, D5. There's just a difference. That secret sauce that you talk about.
Yeah. And using a phrase from our British friends, if I'm completely honest, I think the D4 files were better than any camera they've produced yet. That's just me. I just love what the D4 did. It was just beautiful. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Oh, man. You guys are on it, man. Nikon needs to download this chat and look at what they're up to.
They're just going to see how confused we all are.
Yeah.
Right? We're a bunch of confused photographers.
I hope they do collect data like this. They need to.
All you need is one camera, one lens, go out and take pictures, man.
Yeah.
That's a photographer. You get wrapped up in what everybody else is doing, and that'll totally affect what you're producing. I'm sure Jeffrey doesn't go out in wildlife and worry about, oh shit, dude, Nikon's not coming out with no DX. It doesn't affect him taking pictures. So
no,
just go out and shoot, man. Even with an old D3 or whatever you have,
Yeah, I can
not
agree with that.
Guy.
But
I don't care. I love Nikon, but
well, I agree with you, Vahagan, but then photography wouldn't be near as fun because we couldn't sit in chat rooms or live streams and talk about what we're dreaming of.
But have you noticed that this is cool? This is a debate. We're having a debate as far as new technology and what Nikon can do. But as far as YouTube and things go in that nature, you notice that there's so much talk about frames per second. The Canon does this, the Sony does this better, this and that, but very little about people's pictures. Like, show me your work, man. Right?
No, you're absolutely right.
Like they just talk about it and just fight over megapixels and my camera, this camera, but they don't shoot, man. And a lot of these influencers, that's all they do.
Hey, Vahagan, if all this wasn't going on, you wouldn't have much in your live stream, would you?
If we didn't have controversy, Chuck would be out of business.
Yeah, I'd be out of business too. Absolutely. So there again, I'm selfish,
Yeah, I'm just saying some people take it too far.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a limit to everything, and we debate. Debating is good. Debating is good.
Yes.
But you know, some
And
people
I'm really
they
happy with everybody in the community here. We very seldom get to a point where it's like hitting the boiling point, and I appreciate that from you all. Jaspreet, that's why I hesitated to say the poor man's lens. It's not a poor man's lens, but for people that are in photography and can't buy that, the original, the 800 F mount version, which is at what, $16,000. The 800 PF lens is, significantly cheaper for that focal length. So I just use poor man. No, poor man can't buy that 800.
it's still $7,000, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a big number. I mean,
Yep.
compared to the 5.6, okay, but that's still a big number, man.
Jet photo. Trading all my Sony gear for Nikon again. Oh man. He has the ability to do that, to tick especially us Nikon users off. Do I think he hates Nikon? No. And I was talking to Ronald Pollard, who I thought might be able to get in here this morning about that. And I've come to the conclusion, not to get off topic here, because of course we will. I've come to the conclusion that it's about money, and money is comes from views. And whatever you have to do to get views means more money. That's what you do. I can't go down that path. I'm not going to go down that path. But evidently, they can live with their conscience and make these accusations, claims, and everything else. And let's face it, it's feeding them. You can't deny it's feeding them, because they get so much of a response. But I don't want to open my email up in the morning and it's got 90 negative responses and people telling me they're going to kill me because I said Nikon isn't as good as or whatever. I just can't do it. I can't go down that path. But I think that that's the only reason they do it. I honestly don't believe they believe what they say. It's just, hey, how can we get more views? Oh, yeah, Nikon just announced this. Let's go pick on that. And they get it.
Yep.
Well, what I find funny is that we get hung up, or a lot of us, or some of us, I don't know, depending on who you ask, get hung up on the megapixel wars. And it's like, for so many, it doesn't matter. They never make a print in their life. They just post on Facebook and Instagram, and they never make a print. If you never make a print, go get a 12 megapixel camera. You'll be happy. If you're never going to make a print hanging on your wall,
Yeah.
you don't need a 45 megapixel camera.
Right.
For what? Bragging rights? You don't need it.
Yeah.
Save your money.
I know, but
but but that's the reason we have cars that cost anywhere from 35,000 up to a million or 1.5 million.
But
all of them get you to the grocery store and back. But what do you want? It's back to what? Want.
Well, that's what if it makes you happy, go for it.
Yeah.
Some people collect baseball cards. How much did that cost them?
Yeah. My side yard's large enough I could put up a horse corral and just get rid of my cars and start like the Amish going down the road to do what I need to do. It would work. But again, back to, what do you want? And, you're not going to change people's minds on what they could or should do because they want something, and that's it. That's where we're at right now in this conversation. What do we want in an APS-C if it's coming out, or do we even want Nikon to produce more APS-C bodies? What do you want? Not what do you need? So here's a comment, and I've heard this over and over. I agree with you, Roy, absolutely. But obviously we know what it does, the APS-C body, and why it seems like you have more focal length. But what it also does is it uses the sweet spot of that lens.
Yeah, since you're overshooting the size of the sensor, you're getting the middle of the lens.
Yep.
Image.
The better portion of the lens. Yep. Not that lenses are that bad that, whatever, but still. Shoot kids field day with a ZFC and a small rig grip. Yeah. 50 to 250, 16 to 50, and 51.8. It was great. The size was perfect. At 2 hours and 440 shots, I was not tired. Yeah, I get that. But you know what, Hassan? I kind of understand that, but I've been on this kick before on the size and weight. I've carried the D5 with the 200 f2 on it all day long. Yes, it's kind of heavy. I know that sounds crazy to say it that way, but I don't come home and pass out. Within a few minutes of sitting the camera down, I've forgotten about carrying it and using it all day long. So that's just me, though. All right. And I understand that people want smaller and lighter for a lot of reasons.
What what camera manufacturers need to work on also, and no one talks about this, is speed lights. The new speed lights, TTL flash. We
Yep.
don't see an update on that, and that's important for event photography. Something that makes sense, because right now when you put a Nikon speed light on a mirrorless camera like a Z6, the form factor just doesn't make sense, because that thing is bulky, and it just doesn't, it's not right. So they need to work on something as far as speed lights go. You guys agree with me on that?
Yeah, I agree with you, but I guess Nikon kind of dropped the ball there and said they're not going to worry about more Nikon speed lights. They kind of hinted towards their relationship with what's the economical brand? It's Nissan or something like that. But they also talked about their relationship or talks with or whatever with Profoto. So I guess that's the route Nikon's going to go,
Yeah.
is looking at third party as, something that works with Nikon cameras.
Yeah, but
Seems
I
like they're
really like the
bailing.
way I really like the way the TTL worked with the DSLRs.
Yeah.
It did a really good job, and I think Nikon had the best TTL system
Well,
out
you
there.
notice that Joe McNally, when he was on your show and we were talking to him, and I brought up the uh, on camera flash, he didn't go down that path. He didn't answer anything. He really just said, "Yeah, I believe so," or something like that when we talked about their relationship with Profoto. So I'm guessing that Nikon, in their initial statement, when they said that they're going to basically move away from their branded flash, they meant it. I don't know.
And it's so important to have a on-camera flash at an event, when you're doing dancing shots or speeches,
Yeah.
because no matter, I see these new photographers these days at weddings, they don't have a flash, and it's like, how are these images going to look like? Yeah, you might have the best camera, uh, low light, but still, if you have shadows around the eyes, if the light is bouncing from a wrong direction from the room, the photos are going to look like crap.
Yep.
And I'm looking at these guys and I'm saying, this is amazing, like, learn flash. You need an on-camera flash when you're doing events, for sure. So
Yeah, and the takeaway yesterday from Daniel Venter, who does 99.9% natural light, is you've got to work at that art to do that. And he didn't say don't use flash. He just said for what he does and how he does it, he doesn't use flash. So, you can't just throw all your flashes away or your speed lights away and say, well, I'm going to be a natural light shooter. Well, that only works when you do what he does, or maybe other things, but
Oh.
no,
He has the nice surroundings, and he times it right with the sunrise and the sunset. So he
all right, as
creates
usual.
his own special look to his images. They were
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, that's fine. I'm talking about events,
you're right.
though, like
Yeah.
dances,
Oh, yeah.
birthdays, weddings, even like press conferences. Well, I don't know if they'll appreciate that flashes going off at a press conference, but you
Well, you
know,
used to always see it on TV, right? Pop, pop, pop,
yeah,
pop,
yeah,
pop.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like something like that, you need light, because you never know where you're gonna be. And LEDs can be good. You can have a pocket LED, which I do. I have a pocket LED, but if you're doing larger groups in a banquet hall, 4 people, that pocket LED is not going to do much. It's not going to do anything
Like
actually.
an SB 800 or something like that,
Yeah,
or,
some
or
small
bigger.
speed light. I think Nikon should develop a smaller kind of really nice looking TTL system for the new Z. That would be really nice because the other manufacturers are not doing it either. So um TTL can save you and kill you one day. Yeah, it's not perfect, obviously, but it, for
Close.
for event photography when you're doing dancing, it works.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my SB 500, and I still have that, and I'm not getting rid of it.
Which one do you have?
SB 500.
Oh wow, how old is that?
Fairly old.
Yeah,
Not as old as me, but
because
fairly
I
old.
remember that. I remember the 600, the
Yeah,
700, the 800 was a hit.
I
The
had an
800,
800 at one time. I
yeah, the
did.
900 was not so much. The 900
No.
had problems. When I used a 900, I would smell something coming from the flash head. Like every time I take a picture, I'd smell something, some burning in the flash. It was weird.
Yeah, it got too hot. It was too hot, and they fry out. The
Hey,
900s would fry out. The 800s were good though. The 800s were very good.
800s are great. That
Yeah,
was a hit.
yeah.
Now the 900, the 910s were better than the 900s, and then now they have the 5000s, which I haven't tried yet. But
Well, Nikon says the D500 mirrorless version is required and will be a massive seller. I don't doubt that it would sell. I just don't know how much. But it seems like there is a lot of people out there that are looking for that Pro Body DX.
yeah, I like the 900. Not to change the subject, but I like the 900 series because it allowed you to turn the flash head all the way. Like there wouldn't be any more, on the 800. Yeah, there's a limit. You can't turn it at an angle on a certain side. You see what I'm saying? So if you
Yeah, it
wanted to
turned
turn,
it turned more one way than the other,
like the
right?
800 would turn at an angle like this
Yeah,
at one side of the flash,
yeah.
and that was annoying because
I
if you were
think third
doing,
I think third party have pretty much taken up the slack for brand speed lights now.
They're
yeah,
just not built as good though.
You know,
That's what I don't like
the
about
Pro
them.
Photo is, but yes, it's
Yeah,
expensive.
well,
Profoto is,
pro
but
photo is, but
But if
yeah,
Nikon built a flash right now along the D900, D9, or not D, but SB900, SB910 series, you can bet it'd be another couple $100 over what the original cost.
now these third party flashes like Godox and stuff, they how is their 2TL? You
Great.
guys know? It's good? Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I shoot with them. The only problem is with the Z9 right now, they have to update, which you can do on the Godox flashes, is a firmware update. The only problem is you have to be on a Windows computer. You can't be on an Apple to do it. So, but
And
yeah,
there you go. There you go.
Mike talking about he wants a Z8 to be full frame and to be the next camera to be introduced. We all do, Mike. Um, I think that's pretty much a must. I don't know how Nikon feels about it.
Yeah, hey
Uh,
Chuck, photographers for you said Mets. I remember back in the day when I was using my Mamiya C220
yeah,
6x6 film camera at weddings. I would have the Mets flash, right? And
yep,
I would have the battery pack on my shoulder.
yep,
So the battery pack, it was like a box. It was like a
yep,
big switch with a blinking red light.
that was a
yep.
lead acid battery too, I think,
Yeah.
in those days, like a
Yeah.
car battery.
Imagine how much more you had to do in photography. You had to load the film. You had to make sure your settings were right. You couldn't, they call it looking at the LCD. There's none of that, you know? We take
Yep.
200 we take 200 shots and go home. And you really had to know something about photography to actually work, being a photographer. So there was less photographers out there. There was less wedding photographers, and it was like we'd make good money back then.
Yep.
Do you remember the brands back years ago when you used to buy Vivitar flashes and sun packs?
I have a sun pack.
Yeah.
I have a sun pack. I have. I think I still have. Yeah, I do. I still have it with that orange blinking light in the back,
Yeah.
where the flash is ready to go. It was like this button when it was designed. There was these lines in the button. It looked really cool. Yeah, those were the days, man. Like photography. And then you wind up the Mamiya, click, click, it's like I tell my clients, hey, hold on one second. I gotta change my roll of film. I'm winding it, I'm changing it. You gotta like wet the tip of the film to close it, open the new film. It's like, man, now it's easy.
Jaspreet, no, I don't think Frame TM is going to join. I think he just dropped in to make his comment.
Yeah.
Still trying to get him on the show. I'll send him a link. He's a busy man. Eventually, he'll drop in with us some more.
Hey, Chuck, were you ever a big film guy?
I shot film. I've actually, matter of fact, I got a comment from a friend the other day, one of my SF buddies. And because he sees these things pop up on my Facebook page every time I do a live stream, because I'm restreaming over there. Anyway, he sent me a comment and said, long way from developing film in the field under a poncho, which we did. We actually developed our own film in the field and then had it. We had several ways of getting it out. But anyway, and then learned to use an enlarger and make prints. So yeah, I have shot film. I've shot some crazy things like houses in the middle of the forest in the middle of the night with the film. Ilford 1600 pushing it to 3200 with a 48-minute exposure time. Yes. So
yeah, it's cool, man. I mean,
yeah.
if I was to teach a young kid photography, I'd give him a film camera. Shoot
Yeah.
film, develop it, and see what you come up with. Because you know what guys do right now in their wedding packages? They add film option. Basically, you can like they say, okay, we'll shoot your wedding digital, but if it's this much, if you want a roll of film shot at your wedding, it's cool.
Yeah. Nikon, I don't know why they decided to drop making a flash. Who knows though? They could surprise us and come out of nowhere with a new speed light. I don't know. But they made that statement a while back when they were talking about where they were heading with their mirrorless camera lineup.
Yeah, what do you guys think of these presets? We're getting Chuck. We're getting comments about froze Skittles.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of those? Those are just Lightroom slidey presets, right?
You can make your own. I make my. I only have I have one preset I apply to all my images when I bring them in, that I made myself, and you get some for free when you get Lightroom. On top of that, you get some black and white presets and stuff like that. It's just a way for people to make a quick buck, in my opinion.
That's it. Period.
You could make it yourself, and you can make it yourself. Take any image, tweak it so you like how it is, save it as a preset, give it a fancy name, and go sell it for $14.95.
So like tweak the white balance a little bit, add the contrast.
And, you know what? If you're going to do that, at least make enough difference between each preset that I can see it, because
so it's basically bullshit.
I agree.
It's like Skittles Plus. You move the slider over another.
So you're selling a con to people basically.
But a lot of people buy it for whatever reason. Some thinking that it'll help them in their post processing.
Yeah, but every photo looks different. Like the exposure is different. The white balance is different. You put those presets on different photos, it's gonna
Well,
have different effects.
we'll see how stupid people are because they'll buy it. And you're right, because the lighting he shot his photo in and then used his preset is probably different than what you shot in. So you're right.
I think I should make a video on that. Stop buying presets.
Yeah. Do a quick take you 2 minutes to show somebody how to make a preset with their software and say, okay, here's how you do it. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this a minute ago. Film is a foundation for good photography. I think that I think you're right, but nobody's going to shoot film anymore as a foundation for their photography skills. It's the exposure triangle, which you had to apply when you were talking about film. Although there you couldn't set the ISO or then ASA, you had to buy that speed film, and then you had shutter speed and aperture to fill out the exposure triangle. But yes, it makes you slow down and cherish each photo and make sure the composition's right and all the junk's out of the background, or you're spending a lot of money on film that's expensive now and getting it processed. So
Yeah. Do you guys remember back in the day the Kubota presets and actions?
no.
They're way before. They sold Photoshop actions. Basically, you would load them to Photoshop, and the action would actually do something. Maybe add a vignette, maybe add like a soft filter to the photo. Kubota something. Kubota. I think that's where they got this from.
Yeah, I've seen over the digital years a lot of people come out with their presets, and just like photographers for you is saying, presets are easy to do. Yeah, you can actually do it in Photoshop and save a preset and name it whatever you want. You can do it yourself. And then he goes on to say, why people buy them, I don't know. Me either. I think sometimes they feel like they're supporting their favorite influencer or something. I want to buy the presets that Daniel Venter has, or he should make some. I'm buying those. That's the ones I want.
Yeah, that was amazing. Amazing, man. It's gonna make me take out my 200 f2 this weekend.
Mike never holds back, man. Love you, Mike. Love you, man. We're stepping on toes because I think Z, you man, I'm not picking on you, brother, if you got preset packs and things like that, but yeah, maybe we are picking on you. Sorry about that. Oh man.
I think shooting film, especially on a big medium format camera, is just now in 2022, if you were to do it, it's more of an experience than the
it's
result.
nostalgic,
Yeah.
and people that shoot film now are shooting it for the nostalgia of the film days. But getting the film is difficult, it's expensive, and then the processing is the same way. You're not going to be, I don't know too many people that develop color film at home, but you can obviously do your own black and white development, because I did it. I built my own enlarger out of an old Brownie camera. Yes, I destroyed a Brownie camera.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm reading these comments, and they're coming in fast.
Yeah, I can't keep up with them.
Well, I made a comment on Vahagan's latest video. When Chelsea starts talking about the weight of the cameras and stuff like that. But if you put through the 800 on there, it would be probably a pretty good camera. But I went and I looked up the weights of the A1, the R5, and the Z9, and basically the worst case scenario is if you throw a grip on the other two models, the Z9 with its built-in grip is 11 ounces heavier than the A1 and 9 ounces more than the R5. But think about that. It's really okay. It's like, okay, a water bottle weight more difference. What's the big deal? I mean, people don't eat their Cheerios in the morning anymore, or their Wheaties. I mean, it's
Yeah.
11 ounces. Give me a break. You've probably got your backpack on with a whole bunch of lenses in it and everything, and you're worried about 11 ounces extra on your camera body.
Yeah, that's always amazed me too when that comes
It's
up and
just
talking about which lens is better. Well, this one's 3 ounces or 3 grams less, so it's the best lens. I mean,
Now
3 grams, it's like you need to empty your pocket of change,
yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of pennies.
now is that with the battery too? Did you factor that in? The extra battery that you put in the grip.
The that was just the grip,
Oh, what
not
about
with
the extra
that.
battery? Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense, really. I don't know, man. Just doesn't make sense. What don't like leave those things out of your video. You know, that you sound
It's
silly when you bring them up.
Yep, I agree. I
well,
agree.
And the fact that the one that really got me is talking about the different 7200s. It's like they're all good. They're all fantastic lenses. Sony, Canon, and Nikon.
Mike, I'm with you. I had fun with it, but I don't want to go back to it. If I did it, it wouldn't be to impress anybody. It would just be to play around.
No, if you do it, you're gonna play around with film. You're not gonna go shoot a portrait session with it. I
Right.
mean, you know, that's for nostalgic purposes. So
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You can do it in NX Studio as well. I don't know. Maybe people don't know that they can do it in their editing software. Is build their own presets. If you edit a photo and you're really impressed with how you did in the editing, then you can save that as a preset.
yeah.
But don't expect it to apply in all lighting conditions. It'll come up. It'll be different. That's something everybody forgets, I guess.
yeah, it's just sad that the things that matter on YouTube when it comes to photography don't get as much traction, like tutorials and like posing and all that stuff that really you can take with you and run with it. This doesn't get enough play. But as soon as you start comparing or bashing, like that one really takes off, and it's like that's where the state of the photography community is on YouTube.
Anybody like that?
All you got to do is have a heading: Canon crushes Nikon.
Yeah,
You know,
Yep.
Nikon is dead.
Sony's going under? Question mark.
Anybody here
Boom.
like to have a show on film developing?
Yeah,
Drop it in the comments here. Let us know or let me know. All right, Long Rider. Thanks for that, man.
Like you said, Vahagan, you can learn a lot on clickbait titles from the two people you were talking about in your video.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
this is exactly right, Jeff. And I don't watch them. I don't watch Jared. I hear about it. There are enough people that talk about them. So yes, we are feeding the beast. You are absolutely right by acknowledging them, by watching them, and that's exactly what they count on. That's why the controversy's there. It's not to gain friends and influence amongst the photography community. It's to get clicks because that is their business. Their YouTube channels support them, and they have to find ways to continue to feed that algorithm. And if it means saying stupid things, they will do it without any conscience just to get you to click, either out of anger to fight them over something. And I'm sure they get more hate mail than Saddam Hussein did. So you're right. I don't know how we fight them or whether we even should. I don't know. I'm still battling with that. But you got to admit, it feels good when somebody comes out with a video like Vahagan that's saying everything you want to say. But I don't know how we stop them from doing what they're doing. And we can say all day long, we just continue to make the same type videos, slamming them. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But yeah, you're right. And I don't watch them. And you know what? I don't care about their channel. But here's the thing. that's the wonderful thing about America is you can do that. As bad
Yeah.
as it is, it's wonderful that in America you can do that. Where in some countries you probably can't. But anyway, I don't give them that view because it's all in the views. You want to beat the algorithm, get lots of views, no matter how many subscribers you have. And
Yeah.
after a while, you get enough views that it feeds your family, and that's what they're doing. If that's what they want to do, that's okay with me. I'm aggravated in how they do it, but that's exactly why they do it. I'm convinced now. It's not because they hate any one brand right now, Nikon. It's the fact that it gets them thousands upon thousands or hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah. By the way, Israel, thank you for all the compliments, guys. Israel and Long Rider and everybody. Thanks a lot. But yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, we can push back, and I think Mazma said make parody videos, but parody videos they might think it's a joke and not take it seriously. I think you have to be stern and serious with them and say, look, stop effing around. That's it. I can see right through you. You know? Why are you doing this? I think if we get more people on board, not afraid to be a little more open and less politically correct, but that might hurt their sponsorships, or something.
Well, it's hard to say that it hurts them in their sponsorships or anything else. I mean, come on, look at Jared Poland.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking
Oh,
about people that would come up and go against the grain and go and tell them to put
oh
them in their
yeah,
place,
Yeah.
like the
yeah.
bigger channels.
Isn't it funny? You're right, Vog. And isn't it funny? You can speak out against them, and that may hurt you. But you can say any absurd thing you want that's original from you, and get away with it. It doesn't make sense if you call them out, and it gets
Yeah,
irrational when you're doing it, then it could hurt you. But there is no easy answer to this other than, and this, I just say this, I know this isn't going to happen, but especially here we have a smaller audience, but just don't watch them. But
do it, Z-Way, do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I try to watch, for the most part, probably 80% of the handful of channels I subscribe to are content. Like Nigel dancing, shooting out in the field, doing landscape photography, or I know you mentioned this guy. I'm going to screw up his name. No, I'm going to look him up here. Goran Johansson, who
yeah, that's the guy. Yeah,
does phenomenal work.
that's the bird guy, right?
That's a bird guy, but
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
his
yeah.
stuff is something else,
I know.
and
He's the
so
breakfast guy. He wakes up cooking breakfast.
he has all his little shelters that he uses and shoots out of, and puts the heater on and blows the fan to keep the glass from fogging up. And oh man, he's always shooting in the cold, freezing his behind off in these little shelters. But I
Hey,
mean, I like watching that kind of stuff. Or what do you call it? Trying to think of the other guy, Morton Hilmer. I like watching his stuff.
I like watching Morton because it goes against the grain of all the people that say don't get your camera wet.
Yeah, his cameras have mud on them, dirt on them,
Well, they're
falling
covered
the
in
ice,
snow.
everything.
Yeah, everything. So,
Yeah,
hey,
The-
thanks, JH, for jumping in here, man. Yeah, sorry about the 12-hour shift, but yeah, hang in here with us for a while, or if you got to go rest, no problem.
Real quick, I want to add this. These guys, like the people we mentioned, and more, and some others. There's so many, but they are doing a disservice to the photography industry. But the photography industry is praising them, putting their arm around them.
Yeah.
Dude, you're awesome. Give me a high five. The other day, I was watching something where a serial killer on TV was just getting praised, not praised, but the journalist would just like pat him on the back, because they were interviewing a serial killer in jail, and the journalist was like nodding, understanding what the serial killer was saying, patting him on the back, showing sympathy to these guys. I know it's a different thing, but it's kind of what I'm trying to say here. Just doesn't make sense, Or some of these mob guys from back in the day, like they've done a lot of disservice to community, but they're getting so much praise on YouTube for being a mobster.
Mozman picking on Z Wade. Hey, Zach, if you're at home, man, you need to check your email.
Like there's that guy, Conspiracies Camera.
Yeah, conspiracy theories or whatever.
No, Camera Conspiracy.
Yeah, that's it.
You guys watch that?
Yeah. I have. I don't anymore just because I got tired of his. Again, here's another guy he's a comedian and he found photography would be a great opportunity to combine the two and get a bunch of people watching.
Yeah. So anyway, he touches on a few things that people say as well, but he does it in a jokingly kind of way, so people might not take him a little seriously, So yeah, he was out there shooting birds with the Fuji. You see that?
No, I didn't see it. I haven't watched him in so long, but he's definitely not. He wasn't anyway a Nikon lover. He made fun of Nikon all the time. That's why I quit watching him. I just got sick of it. Him and his perfect camera, and Nikon was quite often the butt of the joke.
You mean you don't want you mean his intro music? All I want is a perfect camera.
Yeah.
No such thing.
I actually would love to have a conversation with these guys. Like Chelsea, right? Or Jared. I'd love to invite him on and just ask him, man to man, hey, why? What's the deal? They won't come. So their shit's gonna be exposed.
Like they don't want to admit they probably would not want to admit on your show some of the things that they've said on their own show.
Yeah, they don't want to be exposed for what they're doing. But again, having a mature conversation is nice. Is what we need. So I'm not going to go out there and say, you're an effing idiot, you're this, you're that, you should be banned from YouTube. No. I'm going to say, come on the show, let's talk about it. So, yep. Hey, Chuck, what is that behind you? That black thing on the right. Is that a stand?
Yeah, camera stand.
It has a light on there?
No, that's the Z7 or Z6 II on it.
That's cool.
Chuck's got all sorts of special gadgets in his room there.
Yeah, I do. No doubt about it. I could do the Marcus Picks giveaways.
Yep. The hypocrisy. So, yeah, man. Go out and shoot and have fun. Don't worry about anything else.
Chad, it's funny you say that. He kind of inspired me on that to pick one up just because I like the idea of in studio having that camera stand. It comes in handy for a lot of stuff.
Hey, how about a round of applause for Mozman? What he did yesterday shocked the living daylights out of me.
I emailed him earlier today and I said, sorry, I made you spend some money.
Yeah, you were feeding him all the details of that lens, huh?
He was looking though too. He told me he was all over the place. He just hadn't gotten the KEH yet, but he was looking at the same time.
I think he's gonna love it. Yeah, he's gonna love that lens. I'm gonna try it out too.
All right, I can see people filing away here, flowing away. Last thing on the topic, but on the APS-C camera body, what do you guys think? Is Nikon going to release an APS-C soon? What just your gut feeling?
I don't know about soon, but yeah, that's in the roadmap.
I think the same way. Not right now. Might be a ways, but they'll do it. But not right now.
They just had a great year, man. 57% market share for the Z9. They just had a great year, so I don't think they're sweating anything. And all these orders coming in, and they can't keep up with the orders.
Mr. Troy, good to see you, sir. I know you're a working man now. I wish you could get in here with us and chat with us.
What's up, Ryan? When's your next video coming out?
This is exactly what we were talking about, Nikon. I think you may have missed that first part. Is it gonna, are people gonna then start screaming about wanting DX lenses? And will that take away from production of other full frame lenses that we're still waiting on? So, a lot of things to
you know
consider.
what? I make a prediction right now. I think we'll see a Z8 and a crop sensor at the same time.
I hope you're right. I know in my knower that we're going to see a Z8 this year, or whatever it's called, that D850 equivalent. Again, sharing the market space with the R5 and A7 IV.
Dude, I got the perfect idea, Moz, man. You just gave me a good idea. And this is a good idea, yeah. All right.
There you go. It's coming up, folks. I can already feel it.
Man, we have models at the Huntington Beach I go to too, but it's more bird models.
We got birds across the street.
We got birds in my backyard, right? My backyard, man.
Yeah. So,
I hope, Mike, you're right, and Nikon realizes that if they come out with another APS-C camera, that the only thing they need to concentrate on is wide lenses.
Yeah. Nah, we'll see something. They're gonna come out at the same time. Z8 and Z what? Z what? Z90? What are they gonna call that?
Z500.
I don't know.
I don't either. With the new naming convention, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, but obviously their naming convention is kind of whatever they want it to be. It doesn't always make sense.
Yeah.
Chad, you're funny. Yeah, too bad Mozman missed that. He was out of town. Z100. No hundreds. I don't think it's going to be anything regarding 100.
They're going to have to do something with the hundreds because we're out of numbers already, unless we go into the Z13 and the Z18 and the Z20.
Well, they had not DSLRs or digital cameras, but they're long long zoom cameras were 3-digit numbers.
Mozman just voted on APS-C. Should use Y in the DX line, as in why would you want it?
Well, Chuck, I'm glad your restream is back up.
Yeah, me too. And quite a few people in here. A lot of folks sitting in the wings, listening and probably forming opinions. I'd love to know what they are. If you want to jump in here and share them with us, it'd be great.
Yeah, this was a lively one today.
Yeah, we lost it when we got off the topic, but that's okay. I agree, Z.
Yeah.
Definitely trying to figure that out too. Missing numbers or not unused numbers in the sequence, and yeah,
No, don't start the grit jokes. Don't start grit jokes.
agree with you, Ryan. It would be for that camera. And
Okay.
Z is just like Z8 would be great for the camera that everybody wants right now as far as full frame goes. The grits.
Well, I predict a Z9 II, the update to the flagship, or maybe a ZX. That's strong. That
Well,
name, ZX. That's number 10.
you think they'll add the S's to anything? Remember how you had the D3S and the
No, because they already went with Z6 II and Z7
yeah.
II, and they all went with that. I don't think the S's, but I think it would be a Z9 II, and then it'd be the ZX. Big old X in gold.
Yeah, I don't know what it'll be because again, Nikon's kind of made it difficult to follow as far as the numbering goes until they get more bodies, and then we may see a trend.
Hey, Chuck, why don't we do this? Uh, I always like talking about people's photography and work. Why don't you have some of your viewers email you some pictures, and we can go ahead and just talk about it, and what do you think of that idea?
Yeah, man, that gets tough when you get into it becomes a critique unless you're just saying, "Hey, here's so and so's photo." And considering I hate people critiquing photos because I don't like everybody's opinion on. I'm not talking about mine. I'm talking about anybody's because I seem to like some strange things, and everybody says, "Oh, that's terrible" or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it'd be fine if anybody wanted to send photos to throw up from time to time on the channel. Kind of doing that with some of these guests. I got a whole preview. You guys are going to I promised him I'd bring him on the show. I just haven't heard anything recently. But another photographer in Malaysia that has some fantastic photos, but you're going to get life philosophy along with it. So it's going to be interesting. And I would imagine with Eric Bowles, I would definitely want to show his photos just like you did with Daniel Venter. So got some of that coming up, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll leave that to you, Vahagan. If it works, then I'll steal the idea.
That might be a good idea. There's nothing wrong with constructive criticism if it's
Yeah.
coming from a good place.
Yeah.
You can bash a photo, but there's ways of doing it where you can actually help the artist instead of belittling.
I kind of tried to do that with the Facebook group. That was the whole idea. There was a safe place to go drop your photos, and you don't have to worry about people that just take it upon themselves to give you a terrible critique. It's just a showcase, and you can always ask people what they think or whatever. But we've got a few people over there, but that was my intent on that, just to have that place to go chat. And some of the originals, like Mike Farwell, he was part of it. There are a few others over there that really don't attend the live streams, but they definitely drop photos in the Facebook group.
The Hagen, I don't know if you realize this or not. There are some professional photographers that, for a fee, will review a person's portfolio and comment on all their pictures and tell them where they can improve. And they actually make money doing that.
Wow. Like I said, if it's going to help somebody, why not? Especially a beginner, that's kind of like, okay, you see that their composition is off and yeah, you can pretty much tell that they have a lot of improvement to make. That's different. But if like some of these guys at WPPI, when they judge the photos, it's very interesting. You sit there in a room, you got 3 or 4 judges, and these judges are like, ambassadors and, you name it, Nikon, Cliff Mountner, Tamara Lackeys of the world, They sit there, your photo comes up on the projector. It could be a great image, but there's always something that they find. Well, I could have done this. I would have done this. You know what I mean? So it's hard to listen to that. And sometimes when you think your photo is just 10 out of 10, somebody comes out and says, I don't really like it. It's tough, but if you have to have an open mind, because sometimes they might make sense, what people are saying.
Yeah, Jaspreet on the Z, it's not going to affect Nikon in the long run. If everybody just continues to ignore it, it'll be gone before long anyway. It's just buffoonery. It's woke people trying to establish more power in the press, if you will. It's just a bunch of crap.
Yeah. So
It must be. Mike, I think we all have one image that we think is awesome. I almost had one. That Z90, I heard that somewhere just recently, is using it along with the possible APS-C body from Nikon.
man, the biggest thing I find challenging, other than maybe, focus or getting a sharp bird in flight photo, is the lighting. Like Jeff says, the lighting, like it's so hard to get ideal light on a bird. It's
You
like,
have to go. You got to go back. I go back to the same spot so many times, and my wife says, "Why do you keep going to the same spot?" I says, "Every time I go, it's different. I go at different times, or sometimes you get some neat shots if a storm is rolling in, or you go there and the fog is on the water or whatever. You never know what you're going to get. But I took a bunch of pictures the other day of some black neck stilts. Now, I hardly ever see black neck stilts. I don't know how many pictures I took of them. Would I print one for myself and hang it on the wall? No, I could say I got a picture of them, but the lighting, it was mostly cloudy day, and the black neck stilts have a black eye, and they got black around the head, and they have this red ring that goes around the outside of the eye. And because there wasn't enough light, you didn't have that nice red ring showing up. And I couldn't do much with it in post. So I'm like, okay, I got a bird that I don't normally see, but I don't have one I'd make a print out of because I didn't have the right light. The lighting wasn't there that day. That's just the way it goes.
yeah.
Yeah, so the guys that actually show those photos that are just perfectly lit, I mean, even if you go talk to Bayou Josh, I'm sure he'll tell you, it doesn't happen all the time.
No.
You got to be out there spend a lot of time out there waiting for that moment.
Hey, did you guys see Stu Blue and Bayou Josh?
Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah, good to
Very
see
cool.
Stu back out there, back at it again.
Why, they shot together?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Stu
went.
actually went up and linked up with Bayou Josh and his wife, and I guess they had a little incident while they were up there. I guess Katie got sick or something, but anyway, it's a short video. It's fun. You need to go watch Mr. Stu Blue.
You should get Bayou Josh on your show, Chuck.
I sent him a thing asking him if he wanted to join.
I think it'd be a nice little touch for him to come on and talk to us, and I don't know, it'd be cool.
Yeah, I sent him a invitation and have let him know that he's welcome to come on anytime he wants to. Just like a whole lot of people, but I guess people are busy, and some, I'm I'm saying that to make myself feel better. Maybe they just don't want to come on my show. That's always a possibility. I find self-deprecation much easier than criticism.
Yeah. All right, Chuck, I'm gonna bow out.
All right, man.
But thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. This was fun. Jeffrey,
Have a good one.
I look forward to your new videos. I love the way you narrate them.
Yeah,
like it.
I still can't get I still cannot get my audio the way I want. I mean, I'm talking into that mic, Chuck, that broke up the last time.
Yeah.
So I sound okay today.
Yeah, it sounds okay. Jeff, you can't buy your microphone at a gas station off the counter. Okay.
But it was on sale.
I'm just busting your chops, man.
Yeah, I'm just not happy with how the audio is with the
Videos.
with the videos.
Well,
It's
look,
just
look. Okay.
sound like I'm in a
This is
cave
cool.
or something.
Listen, so this is cool. What you're doing on the stream, you sound fine. But when you're narrating videos, what's the difference between this and this? Look. Hey, Jeffrey, how's it going?
Yeah.
How are you? Hey, Jeffrey, how's it going? See? So that's a difference. When you're doing your videos, it would help to have this type of audio. And you have that mic, man. Plug it in.
Well, that's what I'm using now, but I'm not right up to it.
Okay, so put your mouth closer to it.
So how am I now?
Better.
Better?
Oh, so there you go. I mean, when you're narrating videos, that is, when you're doing voice record over.
So I have to eat the microphone when I do the videos.
No, that sounds so much better. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we'll try the next time. We'll get real close and personal with
Okay.
the mic.
There's something else to consider is the room you're in, because you do have a bit of echo. You're definitely going to have that if you're sitting away from the mic, but sometimes it's even when you're sitting up next to the mic. But yeah, just as Vahagan said, the difference is this and this. I mean,
Okay.
they're
So if you record a voiceover like this, right? If you record a voiceover like this and it's low, you're gonna bring up the gains to make it louder, right? But
Yeah.
you're also gonna bring up all the hiss.
Yeah.
So, and I know there's software to eliminate that, but still it doesn't sound good. So
Yeah, I mean, I put on I go and I click on all the noise reduction and the hum reduction and everything else, but I just sound. But like I think you just nailed it on the head. I got to get closer to the microphone. I'm talking. I'm maybe a foot and a half away from the mic. I'm not like 6
okay.
inches
So
away from the
let me
mic.
say this too: bring the mic to you. Don't move to the mic because now you get that echoey sound, a little bit of it, the boxy sound because you're up against a wall. I'm guessing.
Well, actually, I'm probably a good 8 feet from a wall.
Okay, I just thought about what you're looking at right there.
Well, that's my fake wall with the pictures.
Right.
That's my fake drop cloth, so you don't see
No,
my
no.
head.
I'm talking about what you're looking at, not what we're looking at.
Oh yeah, that wall's I got the back of my cabinet. It's only a few feet,
That's what I'm talking about. And
3 feet
that makes
away.
a difference too. So audio is a strange thing, man. Don't I know? But bite the bullet, go buy you an NT1A. There are other mics that are even much better, but I think that the NT1A at least is at a price point where it's affordable. And that may vary with everybody, what's affordable.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where you will want to watch Friday's video though, especially Maz, man. You're gonna want to watch Friday's video. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right, Yaman. Thanks for dropping in, man. Appreciate it. And thanks for the sub today. Really appreciate that. It's funny. Vahagan brought up to me, I got 2 new subscribers when I had no video. So maybe, just maybe, I should just drop the video. Here you go. Maybe I should just do it this way instead of having the video. So, but I appreciate it.
Video.
Oh, man.
All right, guys. Have a good day. Good night.
All right, V. Get out there. I know you're getting ready to drop something else. Looking forward to what comes next.
No, not today, not tomorrow. I have to take care of my clients now. So
All right. Work now, huh?
yeah.
Well, work always gets in the way of everything we want to do.
Yeah. Gotta pay the bills.
All right.
All right, guys. Bosman, let me know when that lens arrives. Do they ship it yet? That's a lens you get excited for, because it's such a gem.
Have you used that on the Z camera with the FTZ yet?
Mine?
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's why I want to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping they will mount on the FTZ, because you know which lens doesn't mount on the FTZ? The 300D, the 300 AF lens, the metal body lens.
Yep.
Not the D version, but the one before that. For some reason doesn't mount on the FTZ adapter. I think I need to adjust something on the lens or get it. Something is not clicking.
Well, I told you my 400D isn't working on it. I got the FTZ adapter on it and couldn't get it off hardly. So I don't know what that was all about. It works fine with other lenses, but
no. But does it actual mount? Does it click?
No. Well, yes, it will. I correct myself. Yes, but I can't take it off when I get it on there. It doesn't want to come off. So I was concerned the other day when I did it, and I just decided, hey, it's either going to break the mount on the lens or the FTZ adapter or something, but it's coming off.
Well, my 180 AF is around the same time period as that 200 F2 that Mosman bought.
Yep.
So I think if that one works without a hitch, then his lens will be fine.
Hope so, man. I hope so.
Because the 300 that I have is a lot older, I think.
Yeah.
There's a screw that needs to be taken out, or there's something that needs to be adjusted in the back to make it work. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I am talking about that version. It's not an AFS. No. It's the older screw drive AF.
Oh, yeah.
It's not an AFS. But great lens, man. I love that 300. It's an F4, by the way. With a built-in hood, it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, you got the 200 F2 as well, don't you?
Yes.
Have you tried it with the FTZ yet?
Yes.
No, that one worked. His is a modern lens.
Oh, you got the VR version?
Is the VR, yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah, I have the VR version, the first version VR, and I ran into a problem the other day. I actually shot that. I was telling Vahagan that I couldn't figure out why, but it was having a problem with focus and it was soft. And I know that lens is not soft. It didn't do that before on the Z9. So I have no idea what was going on.
Hey, Roy, no, it's not the AFD. It's the AF. AF. I know there's a few versions of that lens, but it's the AF. And it's crazy, man. You look at photosynthesis and it details the differences between each lens. Like this lens has 2 rows of design near the aperture ring. This rose has 3 rows. It just goes into detail so much, man. It's crazy. So who updates that website and how do they get all that information? You ever thought of that?
These are people that's their hobby.
Hey, Jeffrey, you heard you've checked out photosynthesis? No. Google photosynthesis Nikon. And that'll basically give you a list of every lens that's ever made, all the serial numbers, how many lenses were made of that lens, and we're talking everything. That's crazy.
It's like the Chevrolet Corvette Black Book.
Yeah.
Talks about every model, every option, and every Corvette ever made.
Yeah. So if you're buying a used lens and you want to check if it's the early production or the late, because they give a serial number like 5,000 to 7,000. This is how many were made, or so. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Good day.
All right, V.
Bill,
Talk to you later, brother.
All right. We'll see you Friday, right, Chuck?
Yes, sir. Friday night.
All right. Just looking forward to it.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Rock and roll.
take care.
Rock and roll. All right, brother. All right, folks. Well, we've had video this time, and we've actually at least made it to almost the 2-hour mark. Let's see. Any other comments on what's coming, the APS-C or whatever you think the two bodies are that were registered by Nikon? Haven't seen any more on that, by the way, other than they were registered. Peter over at Nikon Rumors is the one that posted that, but that was all the information that came out. So I really enjoy all the comments. It seems like we were on a roll. I don't know where we got off track. I think it was on speed lights or something, but kind of killed the momentum in here.
Or presets.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll try not to let that stuff happen. But yeah, I appreciate everybody's comments. And again, I say Nikon does listen to some of these live streams and videos that come out. So I have no idea what we're going to see, but I told you how I feel. I just wish that we would take care of the APS-C piece maybe next year. But who knows what Nikon's going to do. Jed, I know you got to go, man. Appreciate you being in here. Love your comments as always. Always a contributor. So, all right. All right. Mr. V is gone. Looking at more comments here. I know I passed up a lot of comments earlier. Sorry, it was just going so quick. It was hard to keep up with everything. All right.
For me to put a blanket over my cabinet or in front of the wall of the cabinet to absorb the so I don't have the echoing.
There is a DIY fix for it. You can also buy one of those screens, I can't think of the name of it. B&H obviously has them, but the little shield that goes around behind the mic, and it will eliminate some of that too. And it's not as big and bulky. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to do any of that though, honestly, Jeff. It's just entirely up to you, but I think your audio would improve.
Yeah.
Not that it's terrible. It's not.
Well, it just I myself don't even like it, so I can imagine what everybody else thinks.
Well, one of the possibilities too is going to a mixer. As cheap as they're relatively cheap, or can be. You can go as far as a Pro mixer or like the Rodecaster Pro, but even a small mixer makes a big difference. And then you can use your whatever mic you want and just plug it in to the computer, the mixer that is, and then you can actually change everything about your audio. But I mean, it's just something to look at. It's a money pit, it's just a money pit.
Yeah, I know. I've sank way too much money in the pit already, I think. For this year. But we'll see. I did buy the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus for my camera, though.
Oh, okay. Good.
So I did buy that, so if I talk while I'm shooting, it'll sound much better.
You can use,
and I can filter out the background noise too.
Yeah, well, you can use that with your computer as well. You might give that a try. Just do try connecting it and sitting up close to it. It's probably better, but and give it a shot, because it is directional and it may take some of the echo in the room out as well. Hey, Israel, I don't know if anybody's doing it. I've done a couple of searches, since I started doing this, to see who else is doing live streams. I did notice that a lot of people are all of a sudden trying to do some form of live streaming. I don't know if there's a Canon specific channel or not, or a Sony specific channel. I didn't find anything, but this is just born out of my frustration with making comments on videos with real questions and not getting answers, and thought, maybe that's an opening for somebody to get on and go live and actually talk to the audience rather than at the audience. And, that was my intent. So, and I just happen to be a Nikon shooter. So you just put the two together and build a Nikon community. However, our community is expanding into all brands. We're not bashing any brand. We bash some fanboys, but we're not bashing any brand. And as you know, in here, some people have stated throughout this stream that they shoot Nike, or they shoot Sony or Canon or Fuji, and I think that's great. Bring in my stepdaughter, yeah. Get us a therapist to sit on the sideline and diagnose our paranoia over what one camera brand's going to do. Jeff, your YouTube channel.
Selective imagery. That's it. Just type that in.
Yeah, I don't think you sound too bad either, Jeff, but
well, I wasn't talking as close to the mic when I was doing my own voiceovers on my videos, so okay. I'll try that first. And plus I only did one video with the mic rather than the one built into the computer. So we'll see how it goes. Like, I got two videos coming out. One was with the mic. It did sound a little bit better, but I wasn't close to it. And one was with the computer, which doesn't sound as good. So from now on, I'll try closer to the mic, and we'll see what happens. And if I don't like it, I'll look at a new mic or figure something out.
Well, one of the things that you'll get out of a processor is you get that radio voice rather than just a natural ambient sound. So just take a look over at B&H. Use their ask a question thing in the live chat, that you can do, and just tell them what you would like to know, and just look at what they recommend. I'm not trying to convince you to go buy more gear, but audio is just that way. There's no easy, cheap way for great audio.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
I forgot to say this. I got an email the other day, and regarding a question about the Z9. Yes. But I forgot to address it in this chat. I'm gonna just read it to you guys because I promised the guy that I would address it here so we could, talk about it and just answer the question. Is it okay if I do that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, V.
All right. So this question is, let's see here. So he asked me, he cannot get 20 frames per second out of the Z9. He's tried everything: menu settings, A1 set to focus priority, AFC mode, 20 frames per second mode. Let's see, focusing either back button or shutter focus. At any aperture between 6.3 to f22, camera does not get 20 frames per second and stutters. At any aperture between 1.8 and 5.6, camera does not get 20 frames per second. When settings A1 is set to release priority, camera can attain 20 frames per second with no issues. And then he asked me, if you have time, or if is this happening with my camera? I have tried Nikon f-mount lenses, and 105 f mount. Weird, but this does not occur with two Tamron lenses, but they do not have a linkage native Z 24 to 70 f 2.8. He just basically wants to know what he can do if he's doing something wrong or if his camera needs.
I can't believe that he wouldn't have tried this, but it almost sounds like a card issue, a write speed issue. But if he's, it sounds ridiculous to make this comment because you would expect he's probably tried it, but with an XQD card, I can't get it either.
No. If you're not using the super high-end card, your buffer is going to slow down so much that you're just not going to be able to do it. And then the other thing is your f-stop isn't what matters. It's your shutter speed.
Shutter speed, yes.
If your shutter speed is too slow, I mean, obviously, if you're shooting I'll be stupid here and just say, what if you're shooting a 1 second shot? You're not going to get 20 frames per second because you got the shutter speed set for 1 second. So as silly as that is, and I'm not saying it to be insulting, but your shutter speed has everything to do with it. And
no, I think he knew that. I don't know.
And your card.
This is where it gets tough because you start giving recommendations and people are like, no, I'm not stupid. Of course I tried that. But the card would be first and then shutter speed. Of course, if it's too slow, then it will slow down the frames per second. Roy Bigsby just said, frame rate is on high or low, on the camera setting. I assume that he's looked at that. His frames per second is set too high and 20 or whatever. I guess he's done that though. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. It sounds like he's done a lot of troubleshooting to figure it out. So the only thing left that he didn't mention was a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it says that he's tried with other lenses but I'm just wondering how many frames per second is he getting though?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it could be that in his settings, he has it set to maybe 3 or 4 or something instead of, because you can tailor that on low.
Well,
here you go. Here you go. Oh, okay.
Give us some more specifics. It could be the card. I don't know what card you're using. I mean, because Nikon will only say you could do the higher rate of speed, and they only recommended a few cards like the Delkin Black or the Pro Grade, I think it is, Cobalt. There's only 2 or 3 cards that they
He's
they
saying
will do it.
The cards are fine. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man, beyond that. And
oh, it's you. All right. Okay, Nick.
Yeah.
No, Nicholas.
Yeah. Like I said, people start making recommendations, and I know it aggravates me too when they bring up the obvious. I shouldn't get aggravated, but you do. Like, yeah, of course I tried that and this and that, whatever.
Hey, Nick, I had to come on because I just remembered I didn't pose the question. So I had to come. I promised I would. So
yeah, that's a good point, Roy. The buffer should at least allow you to get the first 20 or 30 frames off, no matter how fast the card. Just between 5, 6, and 22, man.
All right, guys, I'm out. Talk to you soon.
All right, V. Thanks, man.
Well, that's the thing too. When you're in focus priority, if for some reason that lens is having a little bit of a time focusing, that'll slow things down. That you have that release mode that'll take the shot whether or not you're in focus or not. Release priority versus focus priority, and maybe there's something with a lens. Well, I'm assuming you've tried different lenses.
Here you go, photographers, for you. Have you tried just putting it in manual mode and just firing away? Because then it's not going to look for focus. Just put it in manual mode, manual focus, and see if it'll rattle off a bunch of photos. And maybe you've done that. I don't know. But that may help you troubleshoot too. Okay, 1.8 to 5.6. Yeah, the reason I brought up manual is because maybe it is in the focusing. It's trying to focus for whatever reason. I don't know why, but obviously it has to focus for every single shot. That's the way the Z9 is built. Or even, yeah, Roy says try it without a lens and just see if you get the full burst that way. Then at least you, if nothing else, you'll have more information to give to Nikon if you contact them.
Yeah, you take the lens off, you rule out the lens. Now it's just the body. You only have left is the body and the card. And if you've got one of the recommended cards, then it's something with the body.
Yeah. Without lens, you get full burst. So it's definitely in the talking to the lens. For whatever reason, it has to do with talking to the lens. You say that you've only shot F mount with the FTZ on it, or do you have the S mount or S lenses as well? Or not S, but Z mount lenses.
Z mount. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would try one of those. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Does not work with the Z lens either. So it's 5.6 to f/22. I don't know, man. Yeah, I thought about saying that too, cleaning the contacts, but if it's doing it on your Z mount lenses, then that's not going to make any. That shouldn't be the case because the camera and the lenses are so new, and I can't imagine every lens you put on there would have a dirty contact.
Well, what Z-Way just said makes sense too. 5.6, if 5.6 is more depth of field. I don't know. It depends. I don't know. It seems like if it's every lens he puts on and it does it.
Yeah.
It's
it's his camera. It's going back to the camera now.
Yeah,
Then
back to the camera.
Z lens doesn't work either, and it's only between 5.6 and f/22. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Not dirty contacts. Yeah, I kind of figured that wouldn't be the case, but I mean that's just a logical step. And okay, what else could be wrong? Yeah, you're right. It should be easier to focus at 5.6 and above.
Well, he's saying his Tamron lenses work fine.
No, that's strange. Huh. Yeah,
you're just making it stranger with every comment you make. Is making it stranger and stranger here.
Here we go. Release priority is constant frames per second, while focus priority is variable frames per second. Yeah, I mean, that's initially what it sounds like. It's just trying to, it's not catching focus, but why would it only do that from F5 or 5.6 up to f/22? And the Tamarins work. Strange. Man, it is a head scratcher. I agree with Z Wade. That's, I guess, a possibility that the Tamarins aren't focusing in between, but I can't imagine that either.
Yeah, if you just do release mode, what'll happen is,
it's just going to go with
it's just going to go whether you're in focus or not.
Yeah, I mean, you can be in focus, but the minute you move out of that plane of focus, then the rest of the frames are just going to be whatever.
Yep.
That's definitely a head scratcher, man.
Man. Does he know any? Well, does he know anybody else that has a Z9 that he can put his lens on and try somebody else's body? You know, if he knows somebody else that has the same camera body, have them try the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's true. You have more focusable area with more depth of field. So at 5.6, it should do better than 2.8 or whatever the aperture is on the lens you happen to be using, the largest aperture. That's strange, man. It's going to be something simple, like me rooting around here trying to figure out my audio, and it's one button I missed. Okay, so Roy says he had the same issue on an A1 with older lenses. But if he's using Z-mount lenses, then that kind of rules out a lens issue, doesn't it? It does to me. It's a camera setting or a camera issue is what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah, we could try it.
Yep. If I can find my camera. Oh. All right. Let me move this a little bit.
Hey, Patsy, go lay down. Go lay down.
Okay, at f4, let's go to f7.1. Okay, it's working at 10 frames per second. Let's see what it does on.
Okay, here I am with my 1.8514 f-mount lens. 1/320th of a second. Manual mode, f7.1. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear the shutter going off. So here we go.
Not having the same problem here.
I'm not having that problem.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'll let you listen here. Let me. Hang on a second. I'm getting it too close to the microphone. I'm getting some stuttering, but this is on an F mount lens, the 24-70.
Yeah, I had mine on the 85 1.4 f-mount lens, AFS, and no issues at all.
Yep, I'm on AFC priority selection. Focus plus release. In A2, do you have it on focus or just release?
Well, let me look. Oops. That was on focus.
Yeah, I'm on focus as well. Yeah, as I'm shooting with my f-mount lens, I did notice something that I had never noticed before. That the focus on the I have the 24-70E on here right now, and I can hear the chatter going on it as I move the camera. It's trying to continue focus, so it's chattering. It drops from 20 frames down to whatever it can handle. Here we look like a bunch of nuts sitting around. Oh. Okay, so I got the same thing, photographers, for you. A1 set to focus. It stutters with the F mount 24-70E. I noticed as it continues to try to reacquire focus in between frames. But I never noticed it before, but I just started playing around more with my F mount glass. At 2.8, let me try.
Okay, I'm at 2.8 right now, and I'm in focus priority.
Yeah.
Maybe it depends on, maybe it varies with the lens.
No, it may have, because yeah, the
because my 1.4 isn't having an issue.
So at 2.8, it still will stutter unless I'm on a solid object that it can lock focus and stick with. When I moved it around from the keyboard to the screen on the laptop, it will stutter when it's trying to maintain focus as I'm shooting at 20 frames per second. If it's locked onto the subject, not a problem at all. That's at 2.8. I'll go back to 5.6 and try it. Or let's go to 7.1 and try it.
I mean, I went all the way up to f11 on mine, and I didn't have an issue.
Yep, I'm having the same issue, but this is with a, let me try with a Z mount lens.
Must depend on the lens. I could try another lens.
Let's give it a try here. Yeah, I think my card is about full. If it isn't, it will be here real soon. I'm definitely getting some buffering, so I don't know which card I have in here. Let me check.
Now I got my 24-70 at f2.8. And I'm just focusing across the room on the wall, or actually on a lens that I got on a shelf on a wall, and it's going fine. I'll go up to 5.6 here, or f6.3, and we'll see what happens. Still seems fine. I don't know. So I tried the 85 1.4 f mount and a 24 to 70 f mount 2.8 GED lens, and I didn't have an issue with either one.
Okay, so I'm shooting one card, not both, and I'm shooting JPEG and lossless. What is it? Lossless compressed. And I noticed that the buffer is filling up, and then the card is as fast as the card is the Delkin Black 128. What is it? 1400 and something megabits a second, and it's definitely buffering on me. I don't think it has anything to do with the autofocus now that I check it. Now I don't.
Yeah, and I was in AFC, and I had my back button, focus button pressed.
Let me go try light.
Now, if you need 7.1, let me try 7.1. Here's 7.1. One 3/20th of a second, f7.1. And that's in RAW. That's not JPEG, that's RAW. My back button, autofocus button, is set for wide area large. Now I'm just writing RAW to slot 1. Slot 2 is assigned for my video. And I'm not overflowing. The card was empty, so I'm not overflowing onto the second card. I was set for A1 set to focus. I was not on release mode. I'm set on focus mode. So it worked fine with both the AFS Nikkor 24 to 70 f2.8 G ED lens, and it worked okay with my AFS Nikkor 85 millimeter 1.4 G lens.
No, I can't replicate it. I can't replicate the issue. I am getting buffering, and I'm kind of surprised at that. But it's not a focus issue. Well, everybody. Maz, just so you know, I was writing both RAW and JPEG at the same time. It's all right. We were pretty much finished anyway with most of the conversation. Photographers for you, not a problem. And just like Vahagan said with his comment, where else could you go on a live stream and get people to actually pull their cameras out and do it? But that's just how crazy we are, because that's what this is all about anyway. A slow AF lens to try. Yeah, I could probably go back to My, let's see, what could I use?
Yeah, I think all my lenses are either Z mount or Z mount, new ones, or AFS lenses. I don't have anything too old.
Good point. Let me look real quick.
Actually, Chuck, I got to sign off because I got to help my wife get ready. She's going out with somebody shortly, and I got to take off. But
All right, brother.
I will see you on Friday.
All right, man. All right, Jeff. Everybody say bye to Mr. Jeff. Check out his channel again. Selective Imagery.
Have a good one, guys. Take it easy. I hope we can get your camera working here or whatever. I don't quite get it.
Yeah, I don't
Sorry.
either.
Really
No,
sorry.
I don't get it, but maybe you got a little more information to send to Nikon or to talk to Nikon about.
Take care, guys. Later.
Talk to you later, Jeff. There you go. Yeah, I can't replicate it either, but I did find something that I didn't expect was the buffering that's going on. That's even with a Delkin Black 128 gig card. So I don't know how many frames you're supposed to get before it starts to buffer. It's like 80 or something. And maybe that is normal. You know, I held it down for quite a while. So maybe the buffering is normal. Didn't stop, but it started chattering, not lens chatter, but just the shutter or the artificial shutter sound. You're more than welcome. More than welcome. That's just the craziness we do here. And that's what it's for, isn't it? This is all for photographers to get in here and talk. And what's better than talking about trying to help somebody out with something? Yeah, Moz, man, hate to suggest, but I hope you got did you get the email, Photographers for You? I had it up there on the screen. If not, but hate to suggest, but resetting the camera, maybe that's something you've done too. Yeah, it could be. It could be. Roy says he thinks it's about 40 for the combination. All right. Let me throw the email back up here. Oh, man. It's chuckomail@yahoo.com. And how do you reset the camera? You can go back in the menu and reset to default settings as it comes to you in the box. You're very welcome. Absolutely. And I'm going to thank everybody else that had added their ideas to what it may or may not be. Yep. Setup menu. Reset all settings. Let me. How good is that Z6 autofocus and video? Doing a stellar job. Okay. All right, Zach. Glad you dropped in, man. Check your email. I sent you a link, but maybe you're at work and you couldn't connect. All right. All right. All right. Still have people in here in the wings, and I do appreciate that. Maybe I should do all these just audio, no video. All right, guys. I think I'm going to take off here too. We're at 4:16 my time. After 4 p.m. already. Wow. But man, I think we were having a good time. We just kind of got off track, and maybe it slowed us down a little bit. Roy's off to bed down under. All right, Roy. See you Friday night. Have a great rest of the week. But again, great community. I love this community that we have together here. We don't have any fighting and everything carrying on. 6:16 a.m. down under. And you guys are great. Testament to that is everybody chiming in, trying to help out another photographer. So with that said, thanks to my guest, Vahagan. Make sure you go back and rewatch the Daniel Venter live stream because there's so much information in that. And that guy is truly a fantastic photographer. I'd love to be able to replicate what he does. And like I said in the stream, I think a lot of people are going to be going out and trying that. So anyway, and check if you're new to Vahography, and I can't imagine you are because most of you came from Vahography here. But if you're new to Vahography, check out all the other videos that he has up, especially the one ranting about Mr. Jared and Chelsea over at Tony and Chelsea. Well, anyway, it's just worth listening to. I agree with everything he says. It's just a pain in the butt, and I don't know how we respond, but I'm always glad that there's somebody out there that speaks on our behalf. So with that said, I want you to check out Mr. Z Wade Photo, who's been in here commenting. Z Wade Photo here on YouTube. He's got interesting looks at lenses that he picks up from time to time. Also, Tony and who. Also in that, of course, Jeffrey Neville and his channel. He's got a new channel, and that's Selective Imagery. Make sure you go over there and check him out as well. And I thanks, Ray. Don't forget to drop likes. I appreciate that. But more importantly, drop some likes on these other channels that I mentioned because they're doing a fantastic job providing a lot of information and entertainment. So, if you like what you see, drop a like whether it's here or on their channel. And if you're interested in just being a part of the community on a regular basis, consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm still struggling to get to 500 subscribers. Obviously that's not for monetization. That comes later, but it gives me the opportunity to post cards and take polls and things like that you guys might find of interest. So if you haven't considered it, please do. And if you do subscribe, make sure you hit the bell so you get all the notifications because some people were talking about they weren't getting notifications. And I just asked them to check the bell. And then, of course, that fixed that problem. That said, you're a great bunch of people. God bless you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And I'll see you Friday night, an unusual time for us, but I'll be at a wedding Saturday night. Oh, boy. And so Friday night is the night this week. Everybody take care, and I'll see you in the next live stream. Hope you have a wonderful